Afternoon. Good to see everyone. Had a good bye week last week. I thought it was what we needed physically and mentally as well. Emphasized a lot of individual time, fundamentals, technique, along with trying to give a little extra push to some of the development of our younger kids, first and second year players, and that was good. We finished every day with kind of a mock little scrimmage. It was fun to see our veterans get enthused about seeing our young guys get out there and execute, and a little bit of bragging rights between the offense and defense during those moments. Preparing for a really good Illinois State team. It look like they're playing confident right now. 5-2, have really played well of late. Traditionally, a Brock Spack football team is going to want to run the football, going to play really good defense, and I think you see those things, but I think the thing that stands out the most to me is the improved quarterback play. Young man by the name of Zach Enixted, transfer from Minnesota, is doing a really nice job for him, and so forcing you to have to defend them a little bit different. They still want to run that football, but he can spin it and has done a really good job of embracing that offense and leading that football team. Defensively, they always cause some issues. Okie team, 3-4, high pressure or simulated pressure at different times. So we're going to have to be really locked into our communication, locked into our schemes, maybe even have to minimize some schemes. Just we don't want to have too many issues out there. We need to run what we can really effectively, and we need to move the ball and stay on the field and stay ahead of the chains offensively. Defensively, led by Zeke Vandenberg. Feels like he's been there forever. He's an outstanding player. It's probably a good thing for him. Tells me that he makes a lot of plays throughout his career, but he's played really well. Kenton Wilholt, linebacker. Started a number, I think, last 3 years now. He started for them, and they're going to play a bunch of man in the back end. So they got some really good athletes on the edges and in the secondary. So we'll have our work cut out for us. Excited to get back to work. I know our kids are, just by the number of kids I've seen come through the offices and or through the training room and the locker room, you can tell that the last 48 hours was much needed. I will open it up for questions.
Coach, how beneficial do you think the timing was of this bye week? Coming off of a real emotional game last time out, kind of how beneficial was it, do you think, for you guys?
Ask me Saturday if it was beneficial. Part of me probably wishes we would have just had a game this weekend. Sometimes the best way to get over it is to get back to it. And unfortunately, this one's got to sting and burn a little bit longer, but that's fine. Our kids so far have had great energy, great focus, and we just got to take that into the second week now.
Obviously, you guys are really good coming off of a bye week. Kind of where does the credit for that go? How do you guys perform so well after those weeks off as a program?
Well, I think consistency in our process, consistency in our itinerary. We haven't changed much over the years. I know in the 4 years now that I've been the head football coach, our bye week probably looks like our bye week. We call it Bison week because it's all about us, and we want to make sure that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's along the way, and our kids buy into the process too. And I think getting a little bit of time off is beneficial for everyone, not just physically, but also from a mental standpoint as well, especially after you've gone 8 weeks now.
Bison week, as you call it, has that changed since you've been here at all?
The format of the week, not really. Very similar. This year maybe slightly different. Not with the number of practices or anything like that, just maybe a little bit different because of the timing of the actual bye week. It's late October versus traditionally it's mid-September, maybe late October at the latest.
Now all the way off the 2 deep. Yep. Is he? What's going on there? Is that
surgery on his foot? And at this time, don't know when he'll be back, but for the immediate future, won't be playing with us.
What was the nature of the injury? Do you know?
I believe they called it a reaction fracture. That's about as in-depth as I can go, as smart as I can sound about that injury right there. But not sure. Had it looked at a couple different places and ended up going down back home. There was someone that he trusted or that someone knew that he did the surgery. So I know he has a big checkup tomorrow on it, and then we'll be back on campus.
Okay. And the news on Phoenix leaving, how did the team handle that? And going forward for the wide receiver room, how do they adjust to that?
Well, I don't know if there's much adjustment to it. Unfortunately, Phoenix had been battling some injuries, and so it's still the same number of faces that are in the position room right now. As far as our work and our focus at practice, we went about our business, like I'd anticipated we would have.
when he left?
Yeah, it did.
The wide receiver room, you guys threw the ball a little bit more often last game. Is that something that we could see from you guys airing it out a little bit more?
Well, I think if you look at just the trend right now, over the course of the last 3 to 4 games, we've completed about 70% of our passes for roughly close to 200 yards passing a game. And again, statistically, I don't know where that sits, but that's probably that's pretty good for a team that wants to win the line of scrimmage and be able to threaten all 4 corners of the field. I think you're seeing some efficient throws. Decision making has been very good by our quarterback and by Cam, and we're taking the easy throws, the access throws, and we're having some receivers break some tackles and turn those 6-7 yard throws, hitches, comebacks, and making them into big plays. So we got to continue to do that, though, for us to continue to be efficient and stay ahead of the chains.
Did you get any closer for you over the last 2 weeks here?
Practice last week.
Expect him to play?
Practiced in a white jersey last week, so that means there was no contact. That's about where we're at right now, and it's day-to-day still.
Bussey hasn't been part of the rotation here lately. Is he injured, or is just the way things have gone?
I think just the way things have kind of sorted themselves out. Jalen is a dynamic football player for us, provides a lot of leadership. He's an early down back for us. He's a first, second down back. And, trying to find ways for him to get in there, but it's just the way it hasn't worked out and with the depth of the room right now.
Kobe didn't play last game either.
Tried to. Maybe you saw early, tried to warm up. Just didn't feel like he could make the cuts. I've made comment before leading up to the injury. I thought Kobe was running the ball as hard as he had here at NDSU. So I think he wanted to make sure that we didn't take one step forward, and then by the game's end, we're 2 steps backwards. And I anticipate he'll be back. He practiced last night.
Hart getting to where you thought he would be, as far as potential here?
Well, yeah, that word potential's a scary one. You got to be careful with it. But he is starting to meet some expectations that we had for him, or some things we thought he was capable of. Young player from a long ways from home. But he's bought in. Coach Pauly deserves a ton of the credit, helping this young man grow up, mature within our program, and hopefully we can continue to utilize him in a number of different ways throughout the remainder of the season.
For them, Jalen Carr,
Yep.
Unique kid, smaller guy but productive.
Right. I believe was a quarterback coming out of high school. They put him in the slot. They do some unique things with him, but a very talented player at the receiver position. And they got some really, really good receivers. I mean, again, I'm sure their receivers are excited with the improved quarterback play because the ball's getting spread around a little bit more.
Recognize them offensively? I mean, there are guys here that did not play last year. Is this almost completely different?
In my conversation with Coach Spack in the offseason, they've dealt with some roster turmoil, or I shouldn't say turmoil, roster turnover, probably a better way to say it. And but he's got those guys buying in right now, and they're playing well, and 5-2, and you go back and look at the Southern Illinois game, they were probably a drive away from having an opportunity to win it.
Stands out about Annexstad as a quarterback. Obviously, he played at the University of Minnesota. What's appealing about him?
He has some charisma to him. He has some moxie in the pocket. He doesn't want to. He's not flighty. Not going to take off if he doesn't need to. Is efficient with the football. I think up until this last game, really had minimized the turnovers for him. They hadn't really turned the ball over much at all leading into the Indiana State game. So I just think composure, leadership, having played. And worked at probably the University of Minnesota benefited him, as far as coming in and being able to play right away.
Line probably doesn't game plan for a lot of centers who are 6'4", 350. Drew Bones is a kid that has played a lot of football for them. Is that unique to game plan for Nick Gazer?
Well, I don't know if we create a game plan necessary for a center, but they're big. They've always been big. I mean, we're talking about the same football program that had an offensive tackle that was 6'10" a year ago. And so for them to have huge linemen, Brock Spack, and Coach Spack he's a line of scrimmage oriented football coach, and very similar to ourselves. I mean, guys, we've seen some unbelievable games between these two programs, and sometimes they've happened between the hashes.
A chance to practice inside the indoor practice facility?
Yeah, we got in there a number of times last week. Last week, the weather allowed us to be inside and outside. It's been good. It's been a positive. When we're in there, it feels like it's empty still. It's big. And I think part of it is because it's about 140 yards long, so it does look bigger than a normal practice field. But when the defensive line and O-line go out kind of to their area that they've kind of already coined their area, there's not a lot of people in there at times. And so it gives us ample space to, be able to do a lot of small group work, big group work. And so already we've seen the benefits of it. And a day like today, when the wind's blowing 30 miles an hour, we don't need to worry about it. We'll just keep everybody inside, especially with special teams. It helps.
Then have some outside?
Yeah, we were
like
last
you
week.
wanted to?
We had the doors open. I need to talk to Todd about maybe turning the heat down a little bit. So that's coming from the O-line.
Do in 2 weeks to address the run defense?
Continue to keep practicing as hard as we can. Continue to emphasize fundamentals and techniques. Continue to emulate situational tackling the best we can, and that's exactly what we did. Over the course of the last week, and we even had a team tackling circuit just because we have so many kids on the offensive side of the ball that are helping us on special teams. So making it our priority, and that's something that we did. And if you're permitting it, you're promoting it.
This later, kind of an odd bye week, have you been able to, or have you wanted to treat kind of this last 4 games as a second season, or are you still kind of viewing things as week by week by week by week?
1-0. Yep, 1-0. That's all we're worried about right now is the next one, and super focused on Illinois State and the issues that they cause for us both offensively and defensively and on special teams.
There's 4 weeks to go. Did you get a sense of where everybody was at with the off week of watching some other games of where things stand?
I didn't watch a lot of the games within the league. I watched a couple games. I did watch, of course, the Illinois State, Indiana State game. I watched for the most part. I was joking with the team. That's all I could do this weekend. Kellen doesn't hang out with me anymore now that I'm the head coach. And, my younger son and mom were out of town. So me and the remote got to know each other pretty well. But I watched a few games here and there. Probably like most people, I was back and forth between a lot of different games. Okay, thanks, guys. Have a good one.